Coming up on Hoosier Sports Nite, women's basketball loses by 20 in Champaign. We'll give you more on the team's shortcomings as they gear up for Iowa.
And baseball is back in Bloomington. We'll bring you to the victorious opening day at Bart Kaufman Field. This is Hoosier Sports Nite.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Nite. I'm Georgie Thomas.
And I'm Joe Elms. And Georgie, how about this weather we've been having over the past couple of days?
Isn't it so beautiful out?
I can't believe it hasn't rained, you know?
Okay, not to rain on your parade, Indiana women's basketball fell flat in an 86-66 loss to Illinois on Monday. Our Kelsey Dennehy has her takeaways from the loss.
A combination of messy defense and a lack of energy sent Indiana back to Bloomington with an 86-66 loss this afternoon against Illinois.
Only have a few games left in the regular season, so we gotta figure it out. That's all there is to it.
Today was all about Illinois, and they did a great job of doing what they're good at, and that is putting their head down and driving at us.
Despite senior guard Sydney Parrish's return, the energy for Indiana was flat and not brightened by 20 of Illinois' points coming from the free throw line.
There were moments where I didn't feel like we were maybe perhaps getting the whistle like I think we could have.
It was in that orange and blue square where the Hoosiers struggled the most defensively, allowing 42 of Illinois' 86 points in the paint.
They keep you constantly moving, which is hard to guard, and so that's what makes them dangerous.
There's only up from here for the Hoosiers as Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes come into town for an 8 p.m. tip-off in Assembly Hall. From the State Farm Center, I'm Kelsey Dennehy, IUSTV Sports.
The Indiana men's basketball team got a shot at redemption against the Nebraska Cornhuskers inside Assembly Hall yesterday. Our Riley Woodall has more.
Indiana men's basketball lost its third straight game inside Assembly Hall to Nebraska, 85-70. The Cornhuskers' first Big Ten road win of the season.
Again, we're not putting full games together, and that's what's frustrating. I mean, you have to win at home in the Big Ten. I've said that when I first walked through this door. It's always been that way. You can't lose games at home. We've lost more games at home this year than we've had in the last 2 years, and that's kind of frustrating.
It all snowballed out of control for the Hoosiers in the first half, with turnovers, missed plays, and an unfriendly rim all contributing to a 20-point deficit.
We had no defensive effort, I thought, the first half. I mean, we weren't up to touch. They made some tough threes. You get smacked in the face like we did the first half, you're not going to beat anyone. I mean, we didn't compete.
Indiana cut the lead to 3 with 11 minutes to play and gave Hoosier fans a little glimmer of hope, but that is the closest it would ever be for the rest of the game.
Lets me know that they're still ticking because they didn't quit. They came out the second half and they made a game out of it for a while. And when we did cut it to 3, I just thought we stopped executing.
We just got to really stick together because we're right there. And we show spurts where we can be really good. We got to be focused on each other. We can't worry about the outside noise and just be a unit.
The Hoosiers must now dig deep and search for any kind of fight they have left, with 5 games left on the season. From Bloomington, Riley Woodall, IUSTV Sports.
The Hoosiers dropped to 14-12 on the season and will travel to Happy Valley to face Penn State on Saturday. The Hoosiers moved to 15-11 on the season and snap a 2-game losing streak. The Hoosiers will look to carry the momentum into a matchup at Penn State on Saturday.
Indiana softball traveled down to Alabama for the Troy Invitational this past weekend, and they got off to a hot start. In their first game, they run-ruled Florida A&M 8-0 in 6 innings. Senior pitcher Macy Montgomery was the star in this game. She had a career-high 10 strikeouts in her complete game efforts against the Rattlers. The Hoosiers followed up that dominant victory with an 8-1 win over the host Troy. Indiana was led by Alabama native and junior pitcher Brianna Copeland, who had 6 strikeouts and 5 innings of work. On day 2 of the Invitational, the Hoosiers dropped their game against Gardner-Webb 7-4 after allowing 2 big 3-run innings. Indiana was able to bounce back on the nightcapper on Saturday by beating the Troy Trojans yet again, this time in a close 2-1 game. It was Taylor Minnick's clutch RBI single on the top of the 7th that allowed Indiana to be victorious. To wrap up the weekend, they run-ruled Troy 12-0 in 5 innings to finish the weekend 4-1. Indiana will head to Tucson, Arizona this weekend to compete in the Hillenbrand Invitational.
After a 2-1 weekend on the beach, the 23rd ranked Indiana baseball team returned to Bloomington for a midweek home opener with Miami, Ohio. Our Josh Pose has the recap. The Hoosiers head down to Waco over the weekend to take on Baylor, beginning their 2-weekend stints Lone Star State. Follow Josh Pose, Joe Cronin, and Sam Brunsman for all things Indiana baseball.
After going 2-1 over the weekend in Myrtle Beach to open the season, the 23rd ranked Indiana baseball team came home for a midweek home opener against Miami of Ohio, a game where a pair of highly touted freshmen made their first career starts. Right fielder Andrew Wiggins and first baseman Joey Brencheski made an immediate impact at the plate, collecting an RBI en route to a 12-6 Hoosier victory.
So I thought they both had good nights, both did a good job, both played good defense. From what I can remember, Joey.
Right fielder number 13, Andrew Wiggins.
In contrary to the two freshmen, Josh Pine was playing in his third home opener here at Indiana and had a fantastic day with 2 hits, 4 RBIs, including a 3-run home run to left field to give the Indiana Hoosiers an advantage early in the game.
Brencheski, Wiggins, and the rest of the Indiana squad will look to continue their winning ways as they head down to Waco, Texas to take on Baylor for a 3-game series. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Josh Pose.
The Hoosiers now head down to Waco over the weekend to take on Baylor, beginning their 2-weekend stint in the Lone Star State. Follow Josh Pose, Joe Cronin, and Sam Brunsman for all things Indiana baseball. Coming up after the break, we crown our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And women's water polo remains undefeated. We'll break down their most recent wins. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night.
What's Up Weekly with Callie Lichter and Lucy Kellison, Wednesdays on IUSTV.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Now joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is our very own Madeline Dennehy. Madeline?
Thanks, guys. The 2024 baseball season is officially underway, and Indiana baseball traveled to Baseball at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The Hoosiers returned to Bloomington with 2 victories in tow. A crucial piece to the success of the Hoosiers was this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week, Connor Foley. The right-handed pitcher had an impressive start to his season. The sophomore was vital to the team's 7-2 victory by only allowing 2 hits on 7 strikeouts through 4 shutout innings. This was a career-best performance. Foley's outing not only helped the Hoosiers defeat number 18 Coastal Carolina, but also earned the sophomore Big Ten Pitcher of the Week honors. The Hoosiers will look to rely on Foley throughout the season as a key pitcher in their rotation. You can catch the Hoosiers back in action as they head to Waco, Texas this weekend to take on Baylor University in a 3-game series. That's all for this week's Hoosier Highlight of the Week. Back to you guys at the desk.
On Saturday, the number 15th ranked Hoosiers took on 2 teams and 2 W's to wrap up senior nights. The Hoosiers defeated Cal Baptist 16-7 and Iona 19-5 to start the weekend off 2-0. On Sunday, the Hoosiers took on St. Francis and defeated them by a score of 19-5. Indiana has been on a tear of blowing teams out this stretch. This continued versus Salem as they ended up winning 18-6 with Haley Hunter holding Salem to 6 goals, rounding out the weekend 4-0. The 15th ranked Hoosiers schedule gets a lot harder going forward as Indiana will travel to Irvine, California to take on USC next at the Calvis Invite.
The 17th ranked Hoosiers took on the number 7th ranked Michigan Wolverines at Wilkinson Hall this past Friday. After a tough loss on the road versus number 6 Ohio State, the Hoosiers were looking to bounce back on their home arena. However, that proved not to be the case. Despite close competitive matches, only redshirt senior Brayton Lee and freshman Gabe Solers were able to notch victories as the Hoosiers fell to the Wolverines 30-6.
Obviously, you go after these juggernauts, you got to keep positive, you know? I mean, it is what it is, and we got to build. I think we were in matches. We definitely were in matches. We just got to capitalize on our offense a little bit more. You know, I felt like we just didn't get to it.
It is Indiana's first loss at a home, ending their 5-match winning streak as the Hoosiers get ready for the tail end of the season on Friday against Chattanooga.
The IU track and field team traveled to South Bend, Indiana to compete in the August Wilson Invitational. Highlights include mid-distance runner Camden Marshall, who broke a 19-year-old men's mile record with a time of 3:55. He now holds the 14th fastest time in the nation. Runner Mariah Worley ran the 3,000-meter race, finishing in 2nd place with a time of 9:26. Runner Austin Haskett won the 3,000-meter race with a personal best time of 7:51. Skylar Stidham earned a podium finish of 3rd place with a personal best time of 7:55.14. The Hoosiers will be back next week as they take on the Big Ten Indoor Championships in Geneva, Ohio.
The Indiana women's tennis team played 3 matches this past week, facing Memphis on Thursday as well as Colorado and Ball State on Saturday in the Adidas Classic. Against the Tigers, the Hoosiers got out to a hot start, coming back to win the doubles point. However, Memphis won the next 3 singles sets, ultimately taking the match 4-2. Against Colorado, the Hoosiers again fell 4-2. After winning the doubles point, the Bison won 3 straight single sets. Sophomore Nicole Tedescu and grad student Lene Marie Hodova were able to secure their singles matches before Colorado won the last set they needed to secure the win. The Hoosiers would finally snap their losing streak against Ball State, taking the match 4-0.
We knew we were the better team. Coming off of these losses, it was hard a little bit with the confidence, but we knew that we were the better team, and we just trusted ourselves more in this match, and we're the more aggressive team, so we came out on top.
The Hoosiers are now 5-7 on the season and look to improve that record against Cornell on Sunday.
Now joining us with this week's Candy Stripe calendar report is Cole Nobby. Cole?
Thanks, guys. There is plenty of action across the country for the Hoosiers this weekend. Track and field competes in the Big Ten Championships in Ohio, while Big Ten women's swimming and diving prelims take place in West Lafayette. Men's basketball headlines Saturday, where they take on Penn State at noon. The softball team travels to Arizona, where they will play 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. Baseball plays all 3 days this weekend as well, heading to Waco, Texas, to face Baylor in a triple header. Women's tennis and wrestlers are the lone home teams this weekend. The ladies take on Cornell on Sunday at 11, while wrestling takes on Chattanooga Friday night at 7. That's all for this weekend's Candy Stripe calendar. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Cole. And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Georgie Thomas.
And I'm Joe Elms. We'll see you next week.